Hey book lovers, Victoria here and you're watching My Books Are Me. Today I'm going to get straight into this video because I am bringing you a massive winter book haul. Long story short, I planned to make a July book haul, got sick, kind of lost my voice, had busy stuff, was busy doing uni stuff, so I didn't get time to do one at the end of July, early August. So by the time I probably did have a bit of time, it was a bit late to sort of do one, so I thought just going to combine it all for the past 2 months, make a massive book haul. And I got 31 books. That's how big this book haul is. So let's get into it. Right, so before we do, I just want to say, I've divided these books up into 3 categories. The first one are books that have been sent to me for review from authors and publishers. The second category is Love Oz YA books, so Australian authors and Aussie YA books, because I picked up quite a few. And the third category is just everything else I got. So, I'm sorry if this video is going to be kind of long, but I hope you guys enjoyed because I do have quite a lot of books. Firstly, books that were sent to me for review. The first book was sent to me for review from Hachette Australia, and that is Harry Potter and the Cursed Child by J.K. Rowling, John Tiffany and Jack Thorne. This is, if you don't know and have been living under a rock forever, is the 8th Harry Potter book, and it is the script of the play that is currently on in London. I actually have 2 copies of this book because I bought a copy when the book came out, and I was also sent one about 2 weeks afterwards. So yes, I have 2 copies of this book. I still haven't finished it at the time that I'm filming this video, but that's cool. I'm probably going to end up giving away the second copy to a friend or a family member, or maybe down the track I'll do a giveaway. I'm not quite sure. So yeah, thank you Hachette. Also from Hachette is On the Other Side by Carrie Hope Fletcher. Again, I have started this one and I'm that far in. This is about Evie Snow, who at the age of 82 passes away quite peacefully surrounded by family and friends. But when she reaches the doorway to her own personal heaven, she can't pass through the door. She has to return to Earth and unburden herself of the 3 secrets that she's kept for most of her life in order to become light enough to then pass on. And yeah, she returns to Earth as her 27-year-old self. So I'm enjoying this book so far, despite being literally 27 pages in, but really enjoying it. Definitely recommend it. The next book was sent to me unsolicited from HarperCollins, and that is The Wolf Road by Beth Lewis. This is about, what's her name, Elka, who was 7 years old when she was taken in by this guy called Trapper, who is a hunter. So when she's in town, she sees a wanted poster for Hunter and for the murder of and this magistrate Lion is hot on his trail looking for Trapper, but also after Elka to question her. So Elka goes on the run, deciding that she wants to find her true parents, but she's being pursued by this magistrate as well as someone else from her past. So very keen to see what this one is about. The next one is Revenant's The Odyssey Home by Scott Kaufman. This was sent to me from the author, and this is a retelling of Homer's The Odyssey. It takes place during the Vietnam War, about a grief-stricken candy stripper serving at a VA hospital, and following her brother's death, she, in Vietnam, she struggles to return home, and it's obviously following her journey, so hopefully I'm going to get to this one very soon. Next book was sent to me from Pan Macmillan Australia, and it is one of my most anticipated releases for the year, and that is 3 Dark Crowns by Kendare Blake. It's coming out here in Australia on the 1st of October. It was originally meant to be the 22nd, so I'm assuming that in the UK and the US it's coming out at the end of September sometime. This is set in a fantasy world. I think it's on this island where every generation or every couple of generations, triplet queens are born, and in order for one of them to rule the other 2, they must kill the other 2 sisters. And this follows the 3 sisters. One of them is very strong, very powerful, and she's determined to get the throne. The other one is a bit and the third one makes herself look stronger than she actually is. She's quite weak. She doesn't really have that many powers. So the latter 2 sisters are sort of teaming up to try and take down their other sister, who is determined to wipe them out. I've heard really great things about this so far. This also isn't the final cover, but it is really gorgeous for an ARC cover. So I'm planning on reading this one during September and getting a review out for you guys. Very excited for this one. Also sent to me from Pan Macmillan is the first 2 books in the... I'm not quite sure what the trilogy is called. That is Firewalker by Josephine Angelini and Trial by Fire. These were sent to me in the run-up to the release of the third book in the trilogy, which is, I can't quite remember. I will insert the cover for it here. I've heard really great things about these, especially from Ben, from Benjamin of Tomes. And to be honest, I don't really know too much about this trilogy. All I know is it's a witchy read and it's meant to be fantastic. Two versions of the same world, two versions of the same girl. Love took them home and now Eva wants them back. Two versions of the same world, two versions of the same girl, a love that pulls them together, a war that tears them apart. It just sounds really intriguing. I had planned on reading these before now, so I'm planning on getting to them very soon. I'm very excited for these ones. I've seen them around so much and a lot of positive reviews around them, so very excited. Finally, the last book that was sent to me for review is The Creeper Man by Dawn Kurtajic. This is Dawn's second novel. I read her debut novel last year, The Dead House. I will link below to the review if you are interested. This is a psychological thriller about these two girls, I can't remember their names, sisters, who escape London and their abusive father to live with their aunt in the country. However, just when they think that everything's sort of going smoothly, that their life can finally be back on track, their aunt starts spending all day and all night in the attic pacing. There's this really weird boy that comes out of the forest that surrounds the house wanting to be their friend. Every day the forest seems to creep nearer and nearer to the house, and the youngest girl, Nori, claims that there is a man watching them from the edge of the forest, a man with no face, and a man that creeps closer every single day. This book sounds absolutely fantastic. I haven't heard any reviews of it from it yet, but I loved The Dead House and I'm very excited for this one. I will link below to the book trailer of this because I thought it was so interesting and so amazing. I'm reading this book in September. I'm so excited. Now on to my love Oz YA books. I have been meaning to read more Aussie YA, so I picked up quite a few books, especially during August. But starting off with not a YA book, but it's still an Aussie book, and one that I'm so excited about and really wish I'd finished already because, oh my gosh, and that is Nevernight by J. Christoph. This book came out here in Australia at the end of July. It came out on the 11th of August, I think it was, everywhere else. So this book is out, go get it. If you've been following my channel, you will know that I actually received an ARC of this book from HarperCollins, but I was so lucky and excited enough to go to the Melbourne launch of this on the 29th of July. It was amazing. I got to meet Jay. I will link below to the vlog of that if you are interested, and here is a picture somewhere on the screen of me meeting Jay. It was absolutely amazing. So I got him to sign my book, and I also got a Nevernight bookmark, which by the way was not available at the Sydney launch, which is amazing. But this is an adult fantasy, or like a new adult fantasy, about this girl Mia who, at the age of 10, her father was executed for treason, and her mother was arrested, and her younger brother, and her dog was killed. It was a cat. Anyway, and she is nearly killed, but she escapes, and she's raised by this assassin because she wants to get revenge on the people who have completely ruined her life. And so she is now 16 and she's off to this assassin school called the Red Church to learn how to be an assassin, and it is absolutely amazing. Like I said, it is quite graphic. Graphic language, graphic violence, and although I haven't got to it yet, apparently graphic sex, or at least just maybe not graphic sex, but just there's a couple of sex scenes, I think. So if you sort of aren't into that, I don't recommend it. But this book is amazing so far. Like I said, I wish I had finished it already. As soon as I do finish it, I'm getting a review up because I just love this book so much. And maybe I'll take my time with it so that I don't have to wait so long for the second book. But yeah. I'm so excited. Just excuse me a minute while I refrain from not reading this book right now. Now, the next book that I got that's Australian isn't actually a YA book. It's more of a children's middle grade, but it is The Adventures of Buttersnakes and Gumballs by S.A. Wakefield. And I read this back in primary school in year 2, I think it was. The only reason why I remember it is because when you read things in school, obviously you have to do like little like projects on them. We made our own gumballs, and this has literally been sitting in my house in our hallway collecting dust ever since I brought it home at probably the end of year 2. And I'd forgotten what it was called, so I didn't know what the book was called. And last year I finally remembered Gumballs, and I looked it up, and it was this came up. And this book actually was re-released earlier this year, so I picked it up, and I'm so excited to finally have it and read it and see what I remember. This is set deep in the Australian bush, where very strange creatures live. Buttersnakes make their homes in rubbish heaps. They have green, wrinkly skin, cheese-grater noses, and pointed ears that go red when they're angry, which is most of the time. Gumballs are little happy creatures who can be squashed into all sorts of shapes. They're clever and resourceful, except when they go giggly. They are far too silly to do anything. This is handy for the buttersnakes, who love to grab the gumballs, squash them into tin cans, and only take them out when there's work to be done. Can the gumballs outwit the buttersnakes and avoid being captured again? It just sounds so fun. There's also a TV series apparently about this. I've seen photos of it, but yeah, I'm so excited to read this and see how much I remember, and I'm so excited. I don't know why. Now on to the actual YA books. First one is Things I Didn't Say by Kylie Fornés. I've seen this one around quite a bit. It's about this girl, Piper Rhodes, who has selective mutism after losing her best friend, and she changes school. And she's in her final year at high school. She meets this guy called West, who's a school captain soccer player, the boy everyone talks about. Despite her fear of losing everything all over again, they fall in love without Piper ever speaking one word to West. But can a love mapped in silence last? This one reminds me so much of Until Friday Night by Abby Glines, especially because West is also the main character in that one. So I'm interested to see how similar they actually are, but this one has gotten really great reviews, so I'm very excited to read it. Next, I picked up When Michael Met Mina by Randa Abdul Fattah. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. But this is about two families, one great divide. We have Michael, who is Michael's parents have founded a new political party called Aussie Values, and they don't really want immigrants coming into the country. And Mina just happens to be a refugee from Afghanistan, and it just sort of follows Michael and Mina getting to know each other, and Michael realizing that the values that his parents are trying to instill in him aren't necessarily the right values, and he sort of comes to understand things. He forms his own opinion about things. And what I'm really interested about is the fact that Randa, however you say her name, is actually from Afghanistan, and she was actually a refugee. So I think this is going to be very true to, at least for Mina, her experiences, and probably even for Michael. Very excited. This one has also received really great reviews. Then I got Frankie by Siobhan Plaza. This is about this girl called Frankie who is angry. Just ask the guy whose nose she broke, or the cop investigating the burglary she witnessed, or her cheating ex-boyfriend, or her aunt who's tired of giving second chances. When a kid shows up claiming to be Frankie's half-brother, he opens the door to a past she doesn't want to remember. And when he goes missing, the only person willing to help is a boy with stupidly blue eyes and secrets of his own. Frankie's search for the truth that could change her life or cost her everything. Again, this is another one that's gotten really great reviews, really hyped up here in Australia, so I'm very excited for this one. Then I picked up Black by Fleur Ferris, and this is about this girl, Ebony Marshall, who is in her final year at high school. She's got 5 months, 2 weeks, and 4 days left. She can't wait to leave the town where she's only known as Black because her name, of course, but for another reason too. Everyone says Black Marshall is cursed. 3 of her best friends have died in tragic accidents. After Oscar the whispers started, now she's used to being on her own. It's easier that way. But when her date for the formal ends up in intensive care, something in quite little Danesfield starts to stir. Old secrets are revealed and terrifying new dangers emerge. If only Black could put all the pieces together, she could work out who her real enemies are. Should she run for her life or stay and fight? This has got amazing reviews. It's kind of like a mystery, psychological, I don't really know. Got really great reviews. Very excited. One book that I'm really excited to pick up, which I'll probably read in September, that is Becoming Kira Lee Lewis by Jane Harrison. This is set during the 80s in Australia about this girl, Kira Lee Lewis, who is an Aboriginal girl adopted by white parents, and she sort of doesn't really have any connections to her Aboriginal culture where she's living. But she heads off to the city to do a law degree, and at university she does meet other Aboriginals, and she sort of starts to learn more about her culture and what she's missed out on because she was raised by white parents. Not necessarily that it's a bad thing, it's just obviously she didn't have access to it, I think. We also get flashbacks to the 1960s, where her mother is desperately trying to escape conservative parents, giving meaning to Kira Lee's own search for identity nearly 20 years later, and then she finally meets her father. So it's very much about identity and coming of age. I'm very interested because I haven't read any books with an Aboriginal protagonist, and it's something I definitely want to read being Australian. So the final Love Oz YA books I got are from Garth Nix. The first one is Newt's Emerald, which is a Regency romance with a magical twist, and it's about the Newtington Emerald is stolen, and 18-year-old Lady Truthful has to go to London in search of the magical heirloom of her house. But no well-bred young lady can hunt the metropolis for a stolen jewel. She is compelled to disguise herself as a man, and is soon caught up in a dangerous adventure where she must risk her life, her reputation, and her heart. Balancing twin roles as a young lady coming out in her first season and an intrepid young man up against an evil sorceress isn't easy, but it is vital that Truthful manages it. Her father's life and even the fate of England may depend upon her recovering the Newington Emerald. So set during the Regency, which was the 1700s, so this should be a very interesting and fun read. I've heard really good things about this one so far, very excited. The other Garth Nix book I got is Sabriel, which is the first book in the Old Kingdom series. I'm not entirely sure what this is about. For many years, Sabriel has lived outside the walls of the Old Kingdom, away from the random power of free magic and away from the dead who won't stay dead. But now her father, the mage Abhorsen, is missing, and to find him, Sabriel must come back into the treacherous world and face the power of her own extraordinary destiny. Sounds really fun, and after reading Nevernight, I'm really wanting to read some more fantasy like this, so very excited for this one. And again, this is a series that has received amazing reviews, so I'm very excited to finally dive in and read it at some point. Right, now on to the rest of the books I got this month. Firstly, I picked up some graphic novels. I picked up East of West Volume 1 by, I really wish they put their full names on the front cover so this part would be easier, Jonathan Hickman, Nick Dragotta, and Frank Martin. And I don't actually remember what this is about. I know that when I was back looking for graphic novels, this was one that a lot of people recommended, and to be honest, like I said, I can't really remember what it's about, but I remember it sounded interesting when I first found it, so I'm excited to give this a read. And I also picked up The Wicked and the Divine Volume 2, Phantomonium by Kieran Gillian, Jamie McCleave, Matthew Wilson, and Clayton Cowles. I very much loved the first one, and it ended on such a really good cliffhanger that I'm excited to dive into this one. Also, it's a nice thick one, which is good because I sort of can't get enough of it. Very excited to read this one soon. Then picked up The Scrapbook of My Life by Alfie Days, which is his newest book, which, as the title says, is a scrapbook of his life. You know, little memoir biography, essentially in a scrapbook form with photos in. And at the beginning, there's also bits where you can add your own things, like about your childhood and everything. And this also comes with an app, so you can scan pages and get exclusive content. And I'm very excited to read this. I also just love the layout of this book, and I love Alfie, so I'm very excited to read it. Then I got Alison Hewitt is Trapped by Madeline Rowe. Madeline Rowe is the author of the Asylum series, which is what I'm slowly making my way through. This is the first book in her zombie duology, and this is about Alison Hewitt, who is trapped with 5 other people in the break room of Brooks and Peabody at the corner of Langdon and Park. We are all in relatively good health. Most importantly, none of us are infected, so it's them trying to survive the zombie infection that is raging on in the outside world. I'm not really a fan of zombies, but I'm a fan of Madeline Rowe, and hopefully this is going to be a nice thriller read. So in Australia, we have this TV show on the ABC called The Book Club, and this year it celebrated 10 years. Usually it's been on the first Sunday of the month, but this year they decided to move it to every Tuesday night. Maybe for the second half of the season I was watching, and the last episode was 2 weeks ago, I think it was this month sometime. And every episode they have 2 books that they read through. There's usually 5 or 6 people on the show every week. They read through 2 books and talk about it, and then they also discuss books that they're currently reading at the moment. So the 2 books that they read in the last episode sounded really interesting, and not only just for myself, but I also got them because I know my mum will be really interested in reading them. So the first one is The Transmigration of Bodies by Yuri Hiria and translated by Lisa Dillman. This is essentially Romeo and Juliet meets the Australian TV series Underbelly in the Mexican Mafia. And I'm just going to read you the little blurb on the back. A plague has brought death to the city. Two feuding crime families with blood on their hands need our hard-boiled hero, the Redemir, to broker peace. Both his instincts and the vacant streets warn him to stay indoors, but the Redemir ventures into the city's underbelly to arrange for the exchange of the bodies they hold hostage. Very excited. They really loved this on the book club, and they were made up of such varied readers, and they all really enjoyed it. So I'm just really excited to give this dark and gritty book a read. And the other book that they were talking about on the show is Our Souls at Night by Kent Huruf. And this is essentially about these two elderly people, a man and a woman, who've lived next door most of their lives. They're both widowed, and obviously they both knew each other's respective partners. It's about them and their relationship where they sleep together most nights. And it's not like sexual or anything, it's just sleeping together and have that presence in bed with them, and it sort of becomes like a scandal in the town, but they don't really care, and it's just about their relationship and the things they talk about. It's meant to be such a really beautiful book, and again, everyone on the book club spoke really highly of this and said how beautiful it was, and I'm just really intrigued to read it. And yeah, very excited for this one. Next, I picked up Twisted by Sarah Shepherd, which is the 9th book in the Pretty Little Liars series. I am obviously reading through this series at the moment. I'm just trying to keep ahead with the books so that I always have one ready to go. So yes, can't really explain more about this being the 9th book in the series. I also picked up The Leaving by Tara Altebrando. This is another thriller about these 6 or 5-year-olds go missing without a trace. 11 years later, 5 come back with no memory of where they've been, who took them, or why. Very excited for this one, and I've heard really great things about it so far. I then picked up Kiss Me Deadly, Tales of Paranormal Romance, edited by Trisha Tellep, and it contains the authors Sarah Reese Brennan, Becca Fitzpatrick, Caitlin Kitteridge, Karen Mahoney, Daniel Marks, Justine Musk, Diana Pettifruand, Michelle Rowan, Carrie Ryan, Maggie Steveotter, Rachel Vincent, Daniel Waters, and Michelle Zink. And this is just a collection of short stories about werewolves, ghosts, shapeshifters, and fallen angels. I'm very excited. I do love paranormal romances, so I'm excited to give this one a go. And also discover some of these other authors because I don't know many of them. I also picked up Percy Jackson and the Olympians, Book 4, The Battle of the Labyrinth. This is the next one that I have to read, and I'm hoping to get to it in September. Loving the Percy Jackson series. I'm so glad I'm finally reading it. Very excited for this one. I then picked up The Outliers by Kimberly McCreet. This book came out earlier this year. And it's about this world where people can see into the minds of other people, your best friend, your boyfriend, your enemies. Imagine how valuable you'd be. Imagine how much danger you've been. Imagine being an outlier. This is the first book in a trilogy. I don't really know much more than that, but it sounds really intriguing. I also got Night Owls by Jen Bennett, and this follows Beatrix and Jack on the Owl, which is San Francisco's night bus, and it's just sort of them, I think, riding around on the bus every night, or even maybe only one night. I can't quite remember. It's just really about them and their forming a relationship and a friendship. The next book is one that my friend gave me, and that is This Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han. My friend Shanti, who has a channel called Books So Contagious, I will link to her below, loves Jenny Han. She's read all of her books, and she had an extra copy of The Summer I Turned Pretty. It also just happened to be in the edition that I want. And she said this book is really good, and I've been wanting to get this book for a while. Every year, Isabella spends a perfect summer at her family friend's house. There's the swimming pool at night, the private stretch of beach, and the 2 boys. Conrad, unavailable aloof, who she's been in love with forever, and Jeremiah, friendly, relaxed, I can't read this orange, the only one who's ever really paid her any attention. But this year something is different. They seem to have noticed her for the first time. It's going to be an amazing summer, and one she'll never forget. So very excited to finally read a Jenny Han book. Next book I got is, if you've already seen, is a spoiler if you haven't seen my Owlcrate unboxing, and if you haven't yet received your Owlcrate box for August, and that is P.S. I Love You by Casey West. This is about this girl, Lily, who in chemistry class starts scribbling some song lyrics on a desk, her own song lyrics on a desk, and the next day when she comes back, someone else has replied to them. So it's this we follow her in this secret pen pal relationship with whoever else sits at this chemistry desk during the day, and then about them falling in love. It just sounds like a really cute high school romance. I'm very excited for this one, and I definitely think I'm going to read this one soon. Finally, the last book I got this month is a little bit different, and that is a cookbook, and that is Tanya Bakes by Tanya Burr, and this is also the exclusive signed edition that Amazon was selling. A cookbook filled with absolutely gorgeous looking food. I haven't made anything out of this yet. Hopefully I will soon, but everything looks so yummy, and Tanya has done some videos on her channel cooking from this already, and so has Jim, and they all look absolutely scrumptious, so I can't wait to make it. I just found out also that there are some mistakes in this book, and Amazon are resending out unsigned copies to everyone who got this. I think maybe just it was the signed edition. So that's really nice of Amazon to do that, because like I obviously paid extra being in Australia, paid that extra shipping, so it's really nice that Amazon is sending that to me for free. So I will actually end up having 2 copies, so I'm actually going to wait until that one comes before I make anything, just in case one of the recipes I do choose has something wrong with them. I don't really know what the mistakes were. I think maybe quantities were different. I don't really know, but I will obviously, when that book arrives, I will check through to see what the mistakes are and see like how drastic they are, if it is quantities of ingredients or whatnot. But yeah, I'm very excited to have this. I love Tanya, and I'm very excited to make some food out of this. So that is it for my massive winter book haul. This video is probably going to be like 30 minutes long, so I apologize, but thank you if you are still watching. Thank you so much for sticking around. I love every single one of these books, and don't worry, I'll be back to doing regular monthly book hauls from now on, because it's just so extravagant doing like massive ones that have heaps of books in it. Do let me know in the comments below some of the books you got this month and what your thoughts are on some of these books, if you've read them or if you really want to read them. And I will see you guys soon with another video. Bye!